Hello, my friend, and welcome to Beyond, the personal growth podcast for the people who are healing beyond their conditioning and beyond the cycles that played out before them. My name is Katie Lynn, and with 20 years of experience in the field of psychology and human behavior, I am bringing my natural curiosity, expertise, and personal life experiences here for discussions that are guaranteed to be informative, inspiring, and entertaining. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Today we have Andrea on the podcast. Andrea, thank you so much for being on today. Where would you like to begin?
Hi, Katie Lynn. I'm so happy to be here with you. By the way, I just have to add that before we start.
Thank you.
I, like many women, and I'm going to just say it right here. I'm 53 years old. I forgot how old I am. I've done all the things, right? The education, the hustling, the grinding, the marriage, the physical extreme fitness, the things, all the things, a high performing, go getting, stay positive, all of the things, right? About 5 or 6 years ago, as I was getting ready to enter the empty nest stages of life, I think there was an anticipatory grief that was going on. My marriage was also struggling a lot, that we were fighting a lot. But I was still in my role as a wife, keeping the house together. I had college kids in my house, a high school kid. But underneath, there was a storm brewing. So then everybody dispersed. This was pre-pandemic, kicked everyone out of the house, including ourselves. And it was my doing. I said, I got to get out of here. And everybody dispersed. And then the pandemic came, and like a lot of people, shit started happening inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was teaching yoga. I had a little studio. I was good. I had been good for a while, but and all of a sudden I found myself in this dark night of the soul. Also, now I understand you can call it anything you want. A great unraveling, an existential crisis, a midlife clarity. I discovered that I had completely ignored, denied, and bypassed any of my wounding in my life because why would I? I was great. My life's great. I'm good. And I also started unraveling and went through an entire religious deconstruction as well. So here I am in the pandemic, this midlife stuff, kids are moving out, the stuff that goes with that, unraveling all this religious programming and deconstructing everything about myself, and then examining my childhood wounds. And discovered that it wasn't just moderate. It was what I learned. I was like, holy cow. And then to be able to learn about that and put language to it. And now I could sit around with therapists all day long and talk about this stuff and know what they're saying. And I get it. So I can even joke about it at this point. So I'm far along in my healing process, but I'm still so into my healing process. Like I'm obsessed with it at this point. And I wrote a poetry book during this painful period because I was in so much pain. I didn't want to live anymore. I fell out of love with everyone, including my husband. I shut my heart completely, just shut down. Yeah. And you mentioned in a previous podcast, the episode 8, which I just listened to yesterday, and can totally relate to that conversation because I was in a survival mode of, if I just do all the things, then I will be loved. And I felt as a child like this animal of like, you're an adopted animal and you will do as you're told and be who we want you to be. You will not argue or you will not exist. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And I come from a broken family, not like two parents that were fighting all the time type of a family. Which I don't want to negate that. I came from a single parent home. So there was an abandonment. And then there was a lot of different people in our home coming and going. There was a lot of moving. I went to a lot of schools. There was a lot of step parents. And I had a lot of bullying going on at school as well. So there was a lot of trauma that I had to peel apart and kind of compartmentalize. Oh, that was this and that was that. But at the end of all of that, my point is that I felt I didn't belong. anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was trying to do that by filling these roles and always showing up for people and being what they wanted me to be and being perfect in every way, not in just how I looked, but how I acted and what I said and what I didn't say. And I shapeshift everywhere I go just to make sure everyone was happy. And
Yeah.
so in this unraveling of my poetry, I got angry, and I got angry at everyone. And I call it my book. There's a lot of words in there, but I call myself a savage poet because I was angry. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, at first, I'm like, how dare I get angry? This is not okay. But now I'm like, yes, ma'am, I'm effing
Yes.
angry.
Yes.
And then I was angry at myself, and just all this stuff happened. And I'm here today because I'm trying to figure out how to integrate this healing. Like, I have all this knowledge. I was so busy just loving on and serving and healing other people that I didn't take the time to do it for myself, even when I was raising my kids, which,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, I did not traumatize them. They have confirmed that. And we all love each
Amazing.
other.
You broke the cycle.
The family that I come from, everyone is workaholics. I'm a first or second generation immigrant. So there's a lot of immigration and war wounds there.
Yeah.
I didn't have a father. My biological father was not involved.
Okay.
My family, all sides of it, aunts, uncles, everyone down the line and stuff, they're all successful. To me, successful personally means that
Mm-hmm.
my relationships, the highest form of success for me is having healthy relationships
Okay. Yeah.
with the people that I love. If
Mm-hmm.
that's my
Mm-hmm.
legacy and I go down with my legacy, that would be that's
Beautiful.
success to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my family, success is how much wealth that you have and how
Okay.
hard you work. And they were going after that for the right reasons, like
Mm-hmm.
the American dream type of a thing. But
Sure.
when it becomes it costs you your relationships.
Yeah.
And it's not sort of, it's intense. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
destructive type stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of this. How old were you when you started having children?
25, I got pregnant. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said you were married. Did you get married
I am
in your
married.
20s? You are married.
I'm married
Okay.
to my middle school boyfriend.
Amazing.
We're still together.
Okay. Beautiful. I spent about 10 years helping facilitate women's retreats. And I noticed something that was really powerful. We would have 30 to 100 before we scaled the retreat. We would have 30 to 100 women, and it was a total healing weekend. It was a healing retreat. Half of the women would be in their 20s, half of the women would be in their 40s. And there is something that happens with us as women where whatever we didn't address in our 20s, whether it was from just lack of awareness, busy with children and husband and life, it comes back around for us in our 40s as an invitation. What I noticed is that as the women who were in their 20s were sitting in the room talking about what they came to the retreat for, and the women in their 40s were talking about what they came to the retreat for, they were talking about the same things. Mm-hmm. The women who were in their 40s had devoted their lives to social obligations, family obligations, career obligations, and it sort of didn't bubble up until it couldn't live in the dark anymore. So what you're speaking about, a lot of women experience, and I'm grateful that you're bringing it up, because it's not one of the things that's been well researched or even researched at all. What I want to know is I've heard you share about what you've come through, which is remarkable. It is remarkable what you've come through. My question, though, is I've heard you share about the past. What about your future? What is it that at this point you want to create an experience for yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
And that's a perfect question. And I know how to answer it because I'm always so focused on my family, the future of my family and my children. And as a group, I was always looking at them. And so if I take that even further and say, what do I want? What does Andrea want for herself? You know, I've always been in the healing space. I've always helped people. I taught yoga for 8 years. I know I have gifts. I know I have gifts of holding space for people's pain and supporting people. I have a rich background. I can't clearly see, like right now, I'm just kind of allowing it to organically unfold. And I knew that for me, like in this choosing me first stage, the writing of my poetry book, publishing it and publicly putting it out there because it's
Mm-hmm.
raw material. It's like stuff
Mm-hmm.
most people would never share, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that was like me choosing me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally using my intuition as a compass, not knowing really what's going to happen. I'm trusting the
Mm-hmm.
process. And I need help with that too, because I can get stuck in these loops
Yeah.
of, and if I look back, I've always done that. I've always sort of erred on the side. Let me just help everyone else.
Sure. Uh-huh.
But also like, I don't know. My vision is sort of like every day I just take a step towards the unknown. I'm walking down this path
Mm-hmm.
of the unknown,
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
intuitive choices. Is
Mm-hmm.
that an answer?
Yes, it's an answer. And what I would love to hear more about, and I love that you're connected to your intuition, because that's really important. What are the loops? You
It's
said I
the
can get stuck in
trauma.
the
It's
loops.
I'm stuck in some of the trauma loops because
How does that present for you?
all the wounding, and there's a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's never been healed or repaired,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that it will never be healed or repaired, because even if I went to both of my parents, the one that raised me and
Sure.
the one that
Mm-hmm.
didn't, which I did
Uh-huh.
attempt to go to them, by the way, I
Sure.
have made
Mm-hmm.
attempts. The language that I use and the way that I try to explain myself
Mm-hmm.
is always met with either gaslighting or confusion or
Sure.
denial or just like,
Yeah.
and I've come to the conclusion that there's no way back. There's that open wound and that letting go of family that just really eats at me a lot.
For sure. And is that the only way to heal? Is to get everybody in the room and have a conversation about the unspoken?
I don't have the answer to that,
Mm-hmm.
because what I learn when I just take in and listen to all the people talk about their healing processes is that you can't force people to talk, and you can't force people to
Sure.
change, you can't force people to heal. All I
Sure.
can do is continue to heal myself, and that's what I'm
Yes.
doing every
Yeah.
day. I am dedicated to it, like people are dedicated to their jobs. Like
Sure.
I have minimalized my life down to the most simplest version you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine, with
Mm-hmm.
no expenses of any kind, so that I can dedicate my life to me and
Yeah.
my human
Yeah.
evolution.
This is great. When we're born and we're born into a family, whether it's
Hmm.
a air quotes broken family or not broken family, we're initiated with a blueprint
Hmm.
of what life is supposed to be. And I hear you starting to deconstruct the blueprint that you were given. And also, I hear the blueprint is alive and well in even your current iteration. And what I mean by that is the way you just described your healing is the way that they would describe their work. I only focus on it. I work on my healing in the same way that people work on their careers. I have taken everything out of my life and I have just gone all in on healing me.
Hmm.
And it's very subtle and sneaky how that pops back in for us. And the
Hmm.
blueprint kind of runs under the surface. And how do you feel when you hear that?
So I've heard that in the last year or so, and about like you can't just focus on your healing. And so we are creating rituals.
No, 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 that's not what I said.
Oh,
You can't
okay,
just, I
sorry.
didn't say you can't just focus on your healing.
Oh, okay.
That's the meaning made. That's what
Yeah,
Andrea told herself, or
gotcha.
somebody told Andrea, and then you stored that.
Hmm.
My reflection is, do you see the theme, how you've oriented yourself with healing? You can absolutely decide to continue to run this way. My intention is to create awareness so you have conscious choice. You can choose to move this way. I want it to be a powerful choice for you, not a pattern that's just running automatically that you don't have a say in because it's running you still.
Yeah,
There's a
my
big
dissonance
difference.
is full throttle right now.
Can you
What
tell
did
me
you just
more? Yes,
say?
you have a healthy brain. So this is what the brain does.
Mhm.
And it means that you have a healthy brain. What
Thank you.
emotion is coming up right now?
Confusion and laughter, almost like, oh crap, I don't know what the hell she just said. She's going to have to tell me more.
Yes. Yeah. So your brain knows we're getting to something.
Yeah.
Your brain is like, oh, we're going to be found out. So we must scatter some things.
No, I'm fine with being found out. Find me out, please.
Yes.
Shine the light
So,
on me.
yes. So we got to get your brain on board with that
Yeah.
because you're good with it. Your brain is we're going to have to work with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's doing its job. Like I said, you have a
Yeah.
healthy brain. It is doing its job. I was just telling one of my clients because she had the same experience in session. She was like, I'm looking at you talk, but I'm not hearing what you're saying. And I don't know why. And I said, don't worry. There's when my brain is so quick that it will identify what will threaten my current paradigm before I do. Like I will know I need to hear this. And my brain will silence the thing. I will have to watch it or listen to it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. In my work and our work together, there's no wrong choice per se. My intention is to create an environment internally, help you create an environment internally where you can make a choice and be in greater ownership, right? Because what you described that happened in your 20s and through your 30s and then sort of came crumbling down in your 40s was you got swept up in a wave without conscious choice. And that is something, that's how we arrive at a point in our lives and we go, what the heck happened? And how did I get here? And where did I go? You know, so there's a way that you relate to the world and you orient yourself to yourself. You identify to yourself and you identify in the world and you operate with the world. When I hear you say, I want to have healthy relationships, that's my primary goal. Then the healthy relationship is looking at how do I, Andrea, relate to myself as I be in the world.
I don't know.
That's the next inquiry.
Okay.
That's the next level. Who and how do I be? Because even when I asked, what's the next phase? The response was outward oriented, where you're spending your time, where you're spending your energy, you out in the world. Whereas the next phase could be, I'm living into the archetype of the embodied woman who stands for what she believes in, no matter what, and moves with grace and with ease and with conviction every single day, aware of her choices and informed of her options and connected to her intuition.
Because there's still a lot of looping going on too, and like even just like listening to your last podcast episode, it's not very often that sometimes I'll make a couple notes in a podcast, like a few key points that hit me because I'm like, yeah, okay. But with your last episode, 6 pages later, I'm like, okay, Katie Lynn said this, and here's what I feel like, and and I never really understood the idea of journaling because I'm a writer, but I was like, this is journaling through this stuff. So what I guess what I'm trying to say is I was having some epiphanies that I hadn't had before. And for me, it's like, if you can make me have an epiphany, you've done your job. And I had 100 epiphanies and I'm like, oh my God.
Again, the blueprint is accomplishment. So you're sharing what you accomplished, what you received, which is beautiful, which is amazing. And I would like to invite you to be here with me now.
Okay.
To the best of your ability. Because the brain wants to take you forward and backwards. Forward and backwards. And what I mean by forward and backwards is on the time. When I did this, when I was that, when I talked about this, when I went through that, right? It goes into different experiences. And so when I bring up this idea of being is here now. So the thing that I would encourage you to consider is part of the healing is being fully in your body. And your logic wants to come up. And my intention is to drop you in the body. Really be in your, like, if you close your eyes, you take a deep breath and you really feel, what does my body want to say? What is the wisdom that flows through my cells and my veins? Like, what is that?
It's funny because I taught restorative yoga for 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a beautiful healing class.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same students for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I received healing in that class as I taught the class
Mm-hmm.
because of everything you just did.
Yeah.
And I still have my own personal practice, but there's only so long I can lay there. And I think I
Oh,
got
yeah.
addicted to laying there at one
Sure.
point, and I became kind of lazy.
So notice what you just did.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
brought
I
you
get it.
present, and then you went back to yoga.
And then I used my head, and
And then
yeah,
you use
yeah,
your head to like go. And I
yeah,
taught this many students, and I did
yeah,
it for this many years. And
yeah, yep,
so just noticing that pattern, that
yep.
loop, our brains want to protect us, even if it means sacrificing adventure and spontaneity and joy and all those other things. Protection for the brain means familiar. Have I been here before? Have I done this before? Can I make it make sense to me so that I can understand it? Because if I can understand it, then I can be safe and keep myself safe. What I'm hearing is there are assumptions that are happening. So your brain is trying to fill in data points.
Okay.
And so the assumption, I heard it with the healing with the family, that like healing means we all have to get into a room and talk to each other, which sometimes that is healing for sure. Other times healing is you actually don't speak to them ever again.
Mm-hmm.
You actually break the tie of engaging in unhealthy or extremely dysfunctional family relationships. Sometimes that is the route that changes the trajectory of the next generations in the best way possible. The assumption that I hear is that getting into your body requires stillness.
Mm-hmm.
And the invitation as you're into this next level of who do I be? How do I be? Is a level of acceptance that is so high in all moments. How do I connect the body when I'm speaking with my mother? How do I stay in my body when I'm speaking to somebody who activates me? How do I stay in my body with my anger?
Yeah, yeah.
And my grief?
Mm-hmm.
How is this landing for
I
you?
I feel like I'm able to do that. I'm able to almost be present with myself a lot of times when I'm having conversations. I feel like I can be out of body and still like see what I'm feeling. I notice stuff going on in my body. I will
Mm-hmm.
take breaths. I will
Mm-hmm.
regulate myself during
Yeah.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm standing at the sink and I'm doing something, I can notice my shoulders are like this and I'll relax through
Mm-hmm.
it. I can tell
Mm-hmm.
if I'm stressed out. So I'll go for walks and I'll get on my yoga mat like I did right before we started.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I still have so much in life I want to do with all of this deconstruction of everything
Mm-hmm.
in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to take hold of and master this new realm. I'm
Yeah.
ready. I
Yes.
want to receive
Yes.
and I don't mean to use the word perform, but I have so much in
Sure.
me and
There's
I
nothing
feel
wrong with
so
performance.
excited and
Yeah.
hopeful. And my
Sure.
kids and we go to EDM festivals. My
Yeah.
husband and I go on hiking trips. I don't know. I don't want to just lay here and do restorative
Sure.
yoga and cook a meal.
So notice that when I asked you earlier, probably like
Yeah.
15 minutes ago, I said, okay, so what's
Okay.
next? What's
Hmm.
next for the next 5 to 10 years?
My
And
vision. What do I?
yes. And the response
Uh-huh.
was, I'm going to trust my intuition. I'm going
Hmm.
to listen to myself. I'm going to continue my healing. I'm focusing only on my healing, which is a beautiful response.
Hmm.
And then you're asking me the same question
Okay.
15 minutes later of like, well, I want to know what's next. I want to,
Uh-huh.
now that I've done all this deconstruction, I want to know, where are we going now?
Yeah.
I could participate in the loop again. I could come back to you and say, well, Andrea, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
You might give me the same answer of, well, I'm trusting my intuition and I'm listening every day and I'm taking them steps, And if you were going to give me a different answer,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Andrea, what's next then? for the next 5 to 10? Who decides what's next? Is my question to you. Who decides what's next?
I do. Every day I make choices and I do what my heart says to do. Like, whatever that is, like reaching out to you, responding to you. I let my intuition make all the decisions.
Yes.
And then I trust my intuition and I just make those decisions. And
so based on that answer,
that's kind of how I live.
Yes. So based on that answer, that means that you are at the helm of your heart.
Okay.
And I'm saying that because there's not an issue with being at the helm of your heart. If you're at the helm of your heart and your intuition, you won't ever know what's coming because you'll be, it's essentially like the divine walk of being metaphorically blindfolded, which is what a level of surrender. Holy moly. When your brain asks that question of, well, what's next? Is it a productive question for you?
My, immediate thought to what you said is that there's still levels of programming still playing out for me. And
well, let me ask you this. Why are you here on planet Earth at this time?
Well, I hear stories, but if I had to really say, I really don't know, and I really don't care.
Can you close your eyes? Can you close your eyes?
Yeah.
So close your eyes. Take a deep breath.
Okay.
Land in your body. Let me know when you feel connected.
I think I'm there.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to just let out whatever bubbles up. Doesn't matter if it logically makes sense or not. Why are you here?
I love.
Anything else?
Not really.
Do you experience any colors, any sensations, any visuals, any smells?
Orange, like a beautiful orange, but.
Amazing. Okay. When you're ready, just gently bring yourself back into our space.
Okay. I feel like I was searching for more and I couldn't come up with more.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So the searching for more is the theme.
Yeah.
You're like a seeker, which is beautiful. Your brain default sort of pattern is what's more, what else, what else? Is there more? Is there more? Right? So just knowing that and being aware of it and going, oh, do I need more right now? Or is that just my brain, doing its thing? Interesting that love comes through as an answer, as a response. How does it feel for you to receive that response?
It makes me emotional because, and this is where I'm probably going to choke up.
That's okay.
Because for me, my whole life, love was earned.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't understand it. And I could go to the Olympics for the things I've done to earn love. And knowing now, going through that period where I literally fell out of love with everyone and everything, and seeing and experiencing what that felt like, that was a scary place for me because I had never experienced that.
Yeah.
And so, for me, love now is tainted in a way because now my love is not pure and innocent like a child's love, because that's how I would describe it. It was innocent. Now love to me means fierce boundaries. It means self-respect. It's more of a protective type of a love. It's more of a understanding that there is no such thing as unconditional love. It's just, it's tainted now. And I'm sad about that because the innocent childlike love is so pure.
Yeah.
And when you realize that human beings can take that from you, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes me sad because I want that other part of me back in a way.
Well, I don't think it's gone. It doesn't sound to me like it's gone.
It's not, but I won't allow myself to go back there.
Yes, because
Because I see what it cost me.
So there's a nuance in here.
Yeah.
The nuance I hear is people take from you. And is it all people that do this?
No, and this is going to be just me making assumptions and
Sure.
being philosophical, but I see a theme in our society where you have these people like nurses and teachers.
So
and
before you go
just
there, before you go there,
you know where I'm
stay
going,
with
right?
you. Yeah, stay with
Okay.
you. Stay with you.
Okay.
Stay with you.
Mhm.
Because you came in as a child. What I hear sort of in your language is that there's this generalization that people aren't safe.
Yes.
When really the more accurate stance is that unhealthy people aren't safe.
Mhm.
What is your current definition of love?
My current definition of love is um, people who have who are healed and
Mm-hmm,
can hold space for
mm-hmm,
being present with me,
mm-hmm,
making time for me, having those
mm-hmm.
healthy conversations. And to me, a healthy conversation isn't a perfect conversation.
Yeah,
It's a healthy conversation where there's give and take, and there's
yeah,
self-reflection,
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm,
there's not defensiveness, and there's
mm-hmm.
kindness and grace.
So what
But
you're
also,
describing is behaviors, relational
okay, yep,
behaviors
yep, yep.
of the other.
Hmm. And myself, I have to be
Yes,
that as well.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yes.
Hmm.
I'm going to invite you as you go forward to ask yourself, what is this for me? Because there was the version of love that was safe when I came in and didn't know any better. And then I got hurt and decided that love was unsafe and decided that people were unsafe and
Hmm.
decided that it wasn't a good idea to be me.
Hmm.
And that not only was it not a good idea to be me, but it was actually, it was so hardwired, it became not even an option. I
Yeah.
actually like sent it off to
Yeah, for sure.
wherever, some faraway land for a period of time. And I still, now that I've gone through all of this life experience and all of this healing, I still have this pure love in me.
Mhm.
It still exists. Now, as a woman who's developed and aware and has resources, how am
Mhm.
I choosing to bring this forward for what and for whom?
Mhm.
That's the next phase
Okay.
for you.
When I got emotional and was describing love, I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I've regressed in the form of love.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, you've adapted.
mhm.
The defenses that you and any one of us establish in our youth are critical.
Mhm.
They're so important. You're
Mhm.
wise. You're very wise. And then we outgrow those things, right? It's like when you learn how to swim, you wear a life vest and then you graduate from the life vest. But some of us forget to take the life vest off. So now it just becomes this annoying, like puffy thing that we're like, what the heck? Get it out
Mhm.
of my way. I know how to swim.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a new portal, and it's a new
Yes.
portal, and I don't know what to do with
Mm-hmm.
it. There's all this new
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. And so you're going to make choices, and those choices are going to go well, and they're also going to backfire, and they're going to be like, well, don't choose that.
Mhm.
And you're in an arena, but it's a new arena metaphorically.
Mhm.
So you're learning, okay, how do I play? What are the rules here? Who creates the rules? Oh yeah, it's me. I
Mhm.
create the rules. How am I creating the rules?
Mhm.
Is it from unconscious programming from my childhood, or is it really new?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. You've just graduated into a new level of, play
Yeah.
here.
Well, I adore you. The first time
Mm.
I heard you, I was just like, okay, she is somebody
Thank you.
I don't even know how to
Thank
put
you.
words to it.
Well, thank you for being on today. I
Mhm.
appreciate your vulnerability and your
Mhm.
reflectiveness and your ability
Mhm.
to be with yourself through
Mhm.
this experience.
Mhm.
And thank you for shining light onto what it means to be love. As we complete this episode, I would love to know your insights, takeaways, and feedback. You can message me on Instagram at Katie Lynn Rojano or send them via email to katie@katielynrojano.com. Any products or digital downloads I mentioned can be found via the link in my Instagram bio. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to share it with at least one friend and leave a 5-star review so we can get these impactful dialogues into the lives of even more people. I would also like to thank my guest for their vulnerability and generosity in allowing us to learn from them and grow alongside them. Until next time, friends, let's go beyond.